So people have been begging for more social media censorship, and Facebook is now giving it to you. So be careful what you wish for. Facebook has taken down 652 pages, accounts, and groups it says were part of a coordinated disinformation campaign. Some of the pages originated in Iran and Russia. Facebook has taken down 652 pages, accounts and groups it identified as part of coordinated disinformation campaigns that originated in Iran and targeted countries around the world. It also found a number of new pages connected to Russia. The Iran-linked pages and groups spread misinformation in the United States, United Kingdom, Latin America, and the Middle East. Some of them posed as a group called the Liberty Front Press. Facebook said the coordinated campaigns originating in Iran included 254 Facebook pages and 116 Instagram accounts that amassed more than 1 million followers across the two services. Those behind the pages spent more than $12,000 on advertisements between 2012 and 2017, the company said. Facebook, Twitter, and other social media companies have been scrambling to protect their platforms ahead of the U.S. midterm elections in November and prevent a repeat of the widespread disinformation seen during the 2016 presidential campaign. Okay, so let's look at what they're doing and just what they're saying they're doing. They're saying there was a coordinated disinformation campaign, so we pulled down all these pages. Are they going to define exactly what that means? What exactly do you mean by a coordinated disinformation campaign? What's the evidence that these pages are indeed nefarious? Are there going to be, is there a standard, or is there a criteria that we can look at where we can see what's going on here? Is there a process whereby you evaluated this and then you can walk everybody through it so we all see that it's a perfectly rational thing to do? I mean, these seems like what I'm asking for seems like a reasonable question given the fact that Facebook and Twitter and some of these other social media companies, they're so big that, you know, they effectively are monopolies. And that's now the public square where everybody goes to talk, where we go to have our conversations. It's no longer the actual public square. We have this technological public square. But now the people who run the public square get to just say, oh, that strikes me as coordinated disinformation, so we're going to pull down those pages. Now, here's another question. Their point is, oh, this is nefarious. It's from foreign governments and it's to affect the elections. We can't allow that. Well, then what about when you have, for example, coordinated disinformation campaigns carried out by the DCCC? We just covered the story not that long ago. The DCCC is planning to create a troll army to push their narrative. Is that allowed? And if that's allowed, why is that allowed? So the argument is, oh, you're allowed to do coordinated disinformation and push your narrative, your own biased perspective. If you're in the U.S., that's fine. You can do coordinated disinformation, but you can't do coordinated disinformation if you're outside of the U.S.? So what are the rules? What about if it's, what if it's Wall Street doing a coordinated disinformation campaign? They're allowed to buy ads that push disinformation. I mean, fucking Wells Fargo is literally running a commercial where they're basically saying, hey, sorry that we fucking defrauded so many of you and opened up fake accounts and lied and cheated, but, we're turning a new page in our business model. Are they actually turning a new page? Probably not, but they're allowed to run an ad saying, oh, sorry that we fucked you over, but we're totally better now. Trust me. So Wall Street could do a coordinated disinformation campaign. Fucking the Department of Defense has, tweeted shit like bragging and congratulating itself over some offensive military strikes. Raytheon and Boeing and all these companies, they've tweeted like, oh, show us some of your products. And then at the same time this is happening, these products have been used in the slaughter of innocent Yemeni children. So the Department of Defense can do propaganda. The military-industrial complex can do propaganda. Wall Street can do propaganda. ExxonMobil could do propaganda. But and even the RNC, the DNC, nefarious U.S. political actors who, yes, try to rig elections give misleading information, they're allowed to get away with whatever the fuck they want to get away with. They can say whatever the fuck they want. But if it's a coordinated disinformation campaign, and that disinformation campaign is coming from overseas, oh, we can't allow that. So what if it's just somebody who, is, say, a naturalized U.S. citizen who was originally from Iran? Are they not allowed to have a political opinion on Facebook? Or, okay, put that aside. What if somebody just brings up the fact that, hey, the U.S. overthrew the Iranian government in a 1953 CIA coup, and they took out a democratically elected leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, because he wanted to nationalize the oil in Iran and make the people of Iran wealthy from their own oil, as opposed to letting the West just take it. Hey, we overthrew the government and then put in a dictator, and then that eventually led to the Islamic Revolution. Are you not allowed to point that out? Is there going to come a day where you're not allowed to point that out because that's coordinated disinformation in the sense that it's serving the purposes of what the Iranian government would want people to say? By the way, Abby Martin hosted a show for Telesur called The Empire Files, and it covered the U.S. empire. Some of the funding comes from from Venezuela. So now, because of U.S. sanctions, Empire Files just shut down because they banned wire transfers of funds from Venezuela to the U.S. Is this the kind of stuff that we can expect moving forward? Any and all dissenting opinions, if they serve the narrative of other governments, that's not allowed. And why are more people not asking these very basic questions? Because this seems pretty important to me. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg was dragged in front of a fucking congressional hearing where he was berated by a bunch of idiot politicians who were saying, yeah, there's too much fake news on your platform. There's too much, but you better act. And then, of course, that begs the question, define fake news. What exactly does that mean? Do you really want Facebook to be involved with pulling down all factually inaccurate news reports? Because I got news for you. If that's the case, almost every Fox News report gets pulled down, and like 50% of CNN's reports get pulled down. Is that what you want? That's not what they mean. They don't mean that. They don't actually mean act on the fake news. What they mean is, hey, anything that threatens the power structure here in Washington, D.C., that doesn't serve our interests, pull that down. And by the way, Facebook has teamed with the Israeli government, for example, to pull down pro-Palestine pages. So you're going to trust their judgment that when they say, oh, don't worry, we pulled down over 600 pages, but it's all because it's a coordinated disinformation campaign. You're going to trust the people who pull down pro-Palestinian rights pages to be objective and fair in their judgment when it comes to the coordinated disinformation campaigns they just pulled down here. What's overwhelmingly likely is they are teaming with the U.S. government, and the U.S. government is saying, hey, we don't like that page, we don't like that page, we don't like that page. Pull down all these pages. That's overwhelmingly likely. The idea that they're like, no, it's cool, we have a room full of these objective fact checkers with no biases and no opinions, and they just go, oh, everything that is correct we will leave up, everything that is wrong we will pull down. And by the way, again, I don't even agree with that. And you know that's not how it's going to be used. These are the same people who pushed the Iraq war. They're going to be the ones that determine what is and isn't fake news. Well, you guys push the fake news. The same people that hid the DNC leaks that showed that the primary was rigged are the same people you're going to trust to tell you what is and isn't real. They're just going to serve the establishment. That's the whole point. And again, they have presented no evidence. They have no process to show that, oh, these were actually nefarious actors and look at what they were doing. I'm telling you, I warned you from the beginning, be careful what you wish for. And now it's in full effect. The censorship is in full effect. That's what it is. The censorship is in full effect. So this is scary. It really is scary. And this is why I say we should be regulating these social media platforms as public utilities, and they should be abiding by free speech rules. Now, that doesn't mean that if there's a direct threat of violence, or if there's doxing, or if there's, actual cases of defamation, yeah, pull down those pages. Totally fine with that. You should have a process that proves it, and then you could do that, okay? But outside of those clear instances, we should totally be looking at what's happening online now in the same way that we look at the country and, the government when it comes to free speech. I feel like it's a very American position, and most people would agree, yeah, hey, even if you say something fucked up or wrong, the government shouldn't imprison you to take away your free speech. Something's obviously wrong with that. But now we do look at people getting the internet death penalty where they're not allowed to say shit on the biggest, most influential sites. We don't look at that as a similar thing that's akin to being locked up for your speech, but it kind of is. It kind of is. If you're getting censored and deplatformed, and it's effectively the internet death penalty on the most important social media sites, that is censorship. That is deplatforming. It is not literally the First Amendment that's at play here, but it is the principle of the First Amendment. It's not like, oh, free speech is awesome in regards to protecting you from government censorship, but it sucks in protecting you from other forms of censorship. No, the principle is what's at play here. And that's why I think these should be regulated as public utilities, because better to have some insanely shitty speech slip through the cracks than to give some unaccountable, unelected, bureaucratic, authoritarian leaders the ability to just take away people's free speech, because then what they're going to do is never do it in a fair, objective way. They're always going to do it in accordance with their own biases and to hold up some hierarchy or power structure. So better to have some shitty speech slip through than give people censorship powers, in which case so much good speech will be suppressed.